So today, we're playing the Reaper, and we're using the new skill, Slime Time, along with the Staff of Unhealing, and we may be turbo stacking heat to make him go super fast, and giving us tons of healing, and giving us tons of damage. But hey, check this run out, and let me know what you think of this build. Okie dokie, let's go and jump some games with the Reaper and see just what we can do. Now that's a rainbow badge, but I'm not going to take it for now. However, I will be taking this broom. We're going to be grabbing this big old banana. We're actually going to move this up so we can actually slot this like so. We're going to grab this healing herbs. Pretty darn good shop. We're going to roll, and I was hoping for a little bit of storage. But unfortunately, we're going to have to roll again. Now that should be awesome. Actually, this has been probably the craziest shop. We got so much value in this first round, which is genuinely crazy. We should have a high chance of winning, even though we don't have a whetstone. We should have tons of value. With that shiny shell, we should have a heal, banana, healing herbs. Yeah, we should be in a really good spot. It shouldn't be too much of a close fight going to begin this Pyromancer, because they've only one wooden sword. Yeah, definitely not. And with Shell Totem, we should be in a fantastic spot. To the point where I'm actually going to grab another wooden sword. We're going to grab a second banana. We're going to roll once. We're going to want the storage. Now, unfortunately, we can't exactly fit in our healing herbs. We're going to rock on with it. So, and we're probably going to go for double Shell Totem with a broom. So we can stack up in power, get tons more healing. With double banana in, we should be in a pretty good spot until we get our Shell Totem crafted up. Because this is still going to use up a lot of stamina, unfortunately. Especially with 2 bananas. But not too bad. Now let's grab a leather bag. Let's move our banana into this position for now. Let's go ahead and grab a shiny shell. Let's roll once more. That's a mana orb, which is going to be super fantastic for sure. Now we're also going to grab this shiny shell also, which means we're going to move the sword down below and have her set up to be more like this. So we should have a crazy... Actually, before we do move on, make sure to grab the pocket sand because we can always sell it back for the same price anyway. But once we get our magic staff, we should be in a really good spot. And we'll see. Now our opponent is rocking that burning torch, which is going to be scaling up a little tiny bit of damage. They also have a ton of life and a ton of armor that we do have to break through. However, we should have a good bit of healing. We should have that in power spread out across 2 weapons. So we should have pretty good DPS overall. And actually just falling short though. That burning torch, max life from that armored life, so much armor. We actually dealt quite a bit of damage. Our opponent actually managed to deal quite a bit of damage also though. But hey, a 22-second fight with 150 damage dealt, 123 damage dealt. Honestly, kind of crazy. Now we do get our Shell Totems. We're going to get our magic staff. That's Slime Time on sale, which honestly I think we could go for something quite crazy if we do take this. I'm down for taking Slime Time. We don't have any stones. Investment opportunity is really strong, so we probably should take this one. But let's try to take Slime Time. Slime Time is going to give us some gooblings. And we could go for Staff on Healing builds with a bunch of gooberts. Which sounds amazing fun. We're definitely... But I say definitely doing that. Well, first of all, let's grab our gooblings. And if you don't know, you can actually craft up a gooberts by using 2 gooblings. Which should be awesome. So we're going to have our setup be more like this. So we're going to have our gooberts target our Shell Totem for now. Now, we might actually keep these as little gooblings, but we do want to find as much gooberts as possible with our Slime Time, because every 4 seconds this activates. It's going to trigger our gooberts and gooblings by 1. Which our opponent has a similar type setup, except they have their goobling target their spear along with their Slime Time, which is going to give them a lot more healing as well. With our gooblings, with Shell Totems, we should be able to consistently scale up our power, which means our broom is going to be dealing quite a bit of damage. And it's honestly going to be super fantastic. 11 in power, which is kind of crazy. That's for sure. But we should be in a really good spot right now with our magic staff. I'm going to roll. That's another goobling, which we are 150,000% going to grab. That's another shiny shell if you do want it. Don't exactly want to. We'll grab a bit of storage. We're all looking for some mana generation, and holy moly are we getting turbo lucky. Now we probably should switch this out and actually have our shiny shell in, so we actually get a little bit more stamina for us. We're going to keep our little gooblings like this for right now. We're going to move our garlic into this position. And honestly, we should have a turbo amount of healing with this setup. Very slow scaling though, because that blueberry is going to take 3 seconds to actually stack up 1 mana. And we are going to need 3 mana to get that to deal damage. With our empower, this magic staff should actually be doing quite a bit of damage. Now that spear is actually doing turbo damage too. But our magic staff is still going to be dealing even more damage. And overall, awesome. Now actually, Staff on Healing with King Gooberts. That sounds crazy for sure. And if we're trying to get multiple King Gooberts, that is going to be insanely awesome too. Now, I'm actually going to reserve the deck of cards too because we could go for Mr. Struggles and Turbo Stack above, which I'm thinking about doing. So we definitely want that. But we'll see. We should be in a really good spot. We do need a lot more mana generation. That's another Slime Time as well. Now, actually, this could be super interesting going for Slime Time into Steel Gooberts. With a double axe, they could potentially stack up a crazy amount of damage, which could be kind of awesome. However, our setup right now is going to be pretty darn good. Now, that's a Toad as well. Holy moly, we're actually getting super fantastic items. I'm not going to complain. Let's grab a Goobert, which means we're going to have to slightly move this one out. Now, we're going to move our setup to be more like this for right now, which means we're going to grab the Toad because that's going to be a mana generation, which means we can't grab a deck of cards, unfortunately. It is what it is, but we're going to rock on with this setup. I know we should have even more healing with that Goobert in. We should have mana generation with our Toad. So we should have even more scaling damage. We've also increased the speed of our magic staff, which might be a bit of a problem for our stamina. However, our opponent does have a lot of damage with that Burning Blade and stuns. Like an insane amount of damage. And unfortunately, yeah, their DPS was basically 4 times our damage, which is not much we can do about that. And we did want to go for Mr. Struggles, so we're going to be taking it, adding it to our inventory so we can get Mr. Struggles, which should be fantastic. And we're going to want to take Mr. Struggles. We're also going to want this deck of cards, but I'm going to roll once, twice even. And okay, this is going to be awesome. We definitely want to staff on healing, that's for sure. Now, we're actually going to have our Mr. Struggles target our Slime Time, along with our Mr. Struggles, which should be fantastic. Yeah, this should be pretty good. We should be able to make our Mr. Struggles actually target that Slime Time super fast, making our Gooberts and our Gooblings trigger a little bit faster. Gives us a ton more healing. We should be pretty good. Now, our opponent is actually dealing quite a bit of damage with that here longsword, but can we survive? It's a lot of flat damage, and unfortunately, it's just too much flat damage right now. Now, we're going to grab storage, so we can actually grab this, add it in, craft up that demonic flask. We're going to sell you, and we're going to be taking our deck of cards. And it's going to be a quick round, but we're going to have to move on. Once we get our Staff of Unhealing in, we should be in a really fantastic spot, potentially, hopefully. We'll have to see. Now, this opponent is going to get a lot of healing with that Spicy Banana. They're going to stack up a lot of power, which means their weapons are going to be dealing quite a bit of damage. And actually, they could be outpacing us. We'll just have to see, though. Can we sustain our healing? Actually, yeah. Pretty darn awesome. Because if Mr. Struggles in, it's going to be removing our opponent's buffs, which should be fantastic. Now, actually, we got a super interesting option right now. I was really hoping for a Mana Mastery because that would keep us... Because that would give us a lot of mana generation for our Staff on Healing. However, we did get Dark Ritual, which we're not going to take. This is pretty good, but not right now. Inflicting those debuffs gives us a bunch of Vampirism. We don't actually hit with our weapons, so Vampirism is basically useless right now. Shielded, pretty decent overall. We're not going to be taking it. The thing is, we're going to be getting Power of the Moon. Because once Fatigue starts, we're going to be dealing quite a bit of damage with our max HP, with that Staff of Healing. So we definitely want that. Now we're going to grab another Toad. We're going to roll. Now we're going to grab another Goobling. We can't grab Mr. Struggles for now. We also want a Hollow Fire Lizard because I actually want to turbo stack heats. So we make our Slime Time go super fast. So we can trigger Gooberts really fast. The problem is we do need a King's Crown really badly. To the point where we're going to have to take this tiny little Protective Purse, which is not super ideal. And we're going to slot this in here for now. But we are going to need a Mana Orb to sustain our mana generation, but with 2 Toads in, we should be in a decent spot to get our mana generation. So we'll see. Now, Power's not going to be doing too much for us anymore, so we kind of just want that Shell Totem for some extra healing to deal that extra damage, because we have no use for Power right now. However, that Fatigue starts, and we should be in a fantastic spot. Actually, maybe not. Yeah. Not too bad. However, we will take Mr. Struggles on sale. We'll grab our Hollow Fire Lizard. We'll roll. We'll roll again. We definitely want another Hollow Fire Lizard, but we do need this leather bag pretty badly. To the point where we're going to be selling all these gemstones. I know we probably should be keeping, but it is what it is. Now I'm going to roll once more. We're definitely going to have to take Jin's Lamp because that is going to be luck stacking for us. But unfortunately, we do need that misfortune, which is going to be super problematic. We also need that King's Crown because I do want King Goobert really, really badly. And with our Hollow Fire Lizard in, we should be able to get that heat stacking off the very ground. Now, we're probably going to get rid of our Shell Totems once we start stacking up that heat because we're not going to be able to sustain our stamina with our Staff on Healing, unfortunately. But we should be in a really, really good spot. And honestly, removing our opponent's buffs is really, really fantastic for us. Now, I'm assuming our opponent was looking for a hardwood type setup and actually missed. Because that would have been a crazy, crazy scaling for those wooden swords and a ton of healing for them as well. Let's grab our Gin Slab. Let's grab our Hollow Fire Lizard. Let's roll once. Let's roll twice. There's King's Crown. There's Blueberries. There's a Stamina Stack. Now, am I crazy to be selling our Shell Totems right now? I'm going to sell one Shell Totem for a Blueberry for right now. Which means I'm going to sell the Shell Totem. We're going to add in our Box of Riches for now. We're probably going to want to craft up these little red rubies, which I'm thinking I'm going to sell the Shiny Shell. We're going to sell our Pocket Sand. And unfortunately, I would love to grab this King's Crown this round. But unfortunately, I don't think we can actually afford to as right now. So we're probably just going to settle for this little bit of storage. And we're going to set up to be like this for right now. So next round, we're going to be getting our King's Crown. We're going to be getting our King Gooberts. And we should be in a fantastic spot. Now, we did lose our Shell Totems, but we weren't using that in power. We did use up that heal though, which was pretty good. However, we should be in a pretty decent spot anyway with our setup. However, I say that and we're actually getting smashed, but we do get that big burst of heals, which deals that big, big damage. And unfortunately, it's just going to fall short. Super unfortunate, it is what it is. Now that is, holy moly, that's a light Goobert. That is genuinely craziness. We definitely want King Goobert and Light Goobert at the same time with Slime Time. That is going to be insanely powerful for us. Which we're going to start off with crafting up the Light Gooberts. We're still going to want this Goobert. We still want this Hollow Fire Lizard because we want to turbo stack heats. The problem is we do need this Glowing Crown this round. Which means we're probably going to have to sell Healing Herbs. And I do want to keep a Red Ruby to add into our helmet. But unfortunately, I think we actually have to sell it. Which should be awesome. Now the problem is we do need Misfortune to be turbo stacking our heats. We're going to rock on with the setup. And with Light Goobert in, and with our King Gooberts, we should be in a really, really fantastic spot. And clicking that blind, getting tons and tons of healing for our Staff on Healing. And if we stack up that heat, we're going to be making our Slime Time go super fast, triggering our Gooberts even faster, giving us even more healing, dealing more and more damage. Overall, should be fantastic. Now, our opponent's actually bringing it back though. Not too bad. Awesome even. Now with Light Gooberts, we should be in a fantastic spot. We're going to grab this Gooberts. Let's grab this too. Let's roll once. Let's actually take out our deck of cards and roll for now. We could go for second Light Goobert, but I don't exactly want to. We also got ourselves that Red Ruby, which is fantastic too. Now unfortunately, we're going to have to move on with the setup, which means we can't exactly have our banana in, so I'm going to sell one. And that's all we can really do for right now. I'm going to move this little goobling over to this side, and we're going to have to rock on with the setup with Mr. Struggles targeting a King Crown along with our Slime Time. Now, is this going to be enough? Once we get our King Goobert in, we should be in a fantastic spot. But until then, we could be in a little bit of trouble. Now, our opponent is going to be rocking Bloodthorn with Investment Opportunity. They're going to have 3 Prismatic Orbs, which is going to be quite scary because that Bloodthorn is going to be scaling up that damage pretty fast. However, we're also going to be dealing quite a bit of damage, and that was one big, massive burst damage from our Staff on Healing. And we actually have a 47 DPS right now. And actually, this Bloodthorn actually not dealing as much damage as I thought it was going to be. As for heals, actually we have a crazy amount of healing, which is pretty darn good. And I do believe we can actually make this a lot crazier once we get our King Goobert in, which should be crazy good. Now, I do kind of want to grab Ruby Chunk. Ruby Chunk would be super, super fantastic here. It would also give us that heat from the very beginning, but I'm not going to take it because I do need to find Misfortune. To the point where I'm going to roll. I'm going to keep rolling. Okay, that's another Goobert though. That is another Goobert. But unfortunately, I'm not going to take it. Let's keep it going. However, we could actually craft up another Light Goobert. But no, I'm going to keep rolling for now. That's another Goobert we should be taking. And holy moly, did it take forever to actually find you. We actually changed the setup around to be quite different. We are going to have a King Goobert in this position. We're going to have our Staff on Healing in this position. Now the problem is our mana generation is not going to be turbo insane. We basically have 2 blueberries to be our mana generation with a Jin's Lamp. On top of it, we do want our Jin's Lamp to be turbo stacking our luck. For our misfortune, now we do have our toads in this position, which is literally going to be targeting our misfortune along with our gooberts, which are going to be triggers for our gooberts, which should be pretty good. Now, we're going to move on, and we're going to see. I'm going to slow this one down, and I'm going to see can we turbo stack our heat generation. Because once you proc our Hollow Fire Lizard, we use up that luck to be generating up that heat, which means we're going to be turbo stacking the speed of that slime time, which is going to keep us healthy, which is going to deal quite a bit of damage, and overall should be fantastic. Now, our opponent does have a lot of defenses with that smelly wall, so we could actually be in lots of trouble. And that fatigue starts, and we did big burst damage. And honestly, this build is looking insanely awesome. 65 healing per second with a DPS of 48, which is not too bad. Now, our opponent's DPS was actually quite low though. Their heal's quite low, but their block generation pretty decent. But that damage was definitely becoming exponential with that poison stacking. But holy moly, did we get lucky and find another misfortune, which we are definitely going to take. We're going to roll, and we're probably going to need a lot more luck stacking for now. So we're going to roll. That's another glowing crown, which if we did want to go for second King Goobert, it might be a little bit too late to craft it up, unfortunately, because we need to craft up King's Crown this round with a box of riches, so we're not going to be taking it, unfortunately. I'm actually going to take this tiny little bit of storage for this round. We could take that prismatic orb, but I'm not going to take it for right now. I'm still going to take the glowing crown because that is going to be a little bit more healing for us. However, can we survive going up against Excalibur, who's going to be stacking up a lot of max life? They're going to stack up a lot of damage with that in power. We could be in lots of trouble, but our health is literally still at 290. We got that big burst damage. And honestly, yeah, our opponent didn't actually put a dent in us, even though that Excalibur was dealing quite a bit of damage. As for DPS, we managed to get 80 DPS overall, which is kind of crazy. Which is genuinely crazy. Now, the Excalibur actually didn't deal us quite as much damage, honestly. But that's because we did stack up quite a bit of blinds, and we had that invulnerability with King Goobert 3 times. So honestly, this build is looking really darn awesome. And we could grab another misfortune. Can we sustain the luck generation for her? I'm thinking we're going to preserve it, but we're going to grab our King's Crown for this round. Now we're actually going to slot our King's Crown in beside our Light Goobert because that is going to be a little bit better for us. I'm going to roll it once, and we could have actually went for King Goobert number 2. Now, two King Gooberts in this setup with slime time would genuinely be crazy. But we're going to move on. Now, I'm going to slow this one down because are we going to get turbo deleted instantly with Crossblade Fortuna's Grace with a 100% crit chance and a Meg Clover win con? Or can we heal back up? We started to stack up that heat pretty fast. We're answering back. But they're dealing that damage. We did get that invulnerability. We're back to full HP. And honestly, we got that invulnerability again. We turbo stacked that heat. Our opponent also had that fatigue. But they are inflicting that frost on us. But is it going to matter too much? We've stacked up quite a bit of heat. And actually, this is super awesome fun build. With a 47 DPS. Our opponent had 65 DPS. As for heals though, we had 107 healing per second. Coming from that Staff Unhealing, that King Goobert, that Light Goobert, Power of the Moon with that big burst heal. With our little gooblings providing a lot of healing too, along with our glowing crown. We had also 46 healing overheals, which is kind of crazy. Especially since the start of that fight, our opponent did massive damage. But yeah, this build, way crazier than I thought it was going to be, for sure. We've got one more round to go. Now, it did look like we weren't be able to keep our luck going, so I'm not going to take another misfortune. However, I will actually take another little goobling. I'm going to roll, and I'm going to look for any sort of luck mana generation, or potentially another glowing crown, because that is more healing. It's also going to be another invulnerability if we do manage to reach that 10 mana. So I'm thinking we're probably just going to grab this for now. We're going to roll once. That's another Hollow Fire Lizards. Let's roll again. And this is going to be our final item. Now, honestly, this should be super awesome. We'll see though. We could get bursted down instantly, but once we stack up our blind, once we start stacking up our heats, we should be in a fantastic spot. But we'll see. Especially with the Power of the Moon as well, giving us a crazy amount of health. Now, if we were stacking max life, say this was a Cheese Goobert instead, we could actually make this deal quite a bit more damage. But it is what it is. Let's go and see, is this going to be enough? Is it going to fall short? Who's going to be our final fights? And again, we could end up losing straight away because this is going to be a lot of damage. Unfortunately. And instantly over. So unfortunately, it is what it is. We came across a cracked hammer dagger build. There's not much we can do about that. Our opponent had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Giving them 100% chance to stun. 100% crit chance. 100% accuracy. They had so many daggers with that here longsword. They actually didn't even proc any strong heroic potions. And they actually dealt 400 damage in 3 seconds. We do get punished pretty hard from big burst builds unless we took our own cap. Unless we took our stone cap, which we probably should have taken, to be quite honest. But hey, it's kind of funny coming up across a super cracked out hammer dagger build. So it is what it is, but I do honestly believe that this build has a ton of potential. Slime time, staff, unhealing, turbo stack, and heat like crazy. To be triggering your gooberts super fast, to be getting tons of healing, and especially with the power of the moon to start a fatigue earlier and to get that big burst heal. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here for now. I just want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And I hope to see you look out for the next one. See you next time.